Next, I read Felicity by Miss Mary Oliver. Born in a small town in Ohio, Mary Oliver published her first book of poetry in 1963 at the age of 28. Over the course of her long career, she's received numerous awards, and her fourth book, American Primitive, won the Pulitzer Prize for Poetry in 1984. Felicity was published in 2015, and Mary Oliver passed in 2019. So, you know I love Mary Oliver.
Yep.
Obsessed. Okay, so I picked out one that I wanted to read to you.
Okay.
It was about a cricket. Hold on.
New favorite poem incoming.
Here we go. It's called Nothing is Too Small Not to Be Wondered About. The cricket doesn't wonder if there's a heaven, or if there is, if there's room for him. It's fall. Romance is over. Still he sings. If he can, he enters a house, through the tiniest crack under the door. Then the house grows colder. He sings slower and slower, then nothing. This must mean something. I don't know what. But certainly it doesn't mean he hasn't been an excellent cricket all his life. That's a nice poem.
Yeah. I don't like it as much as the orange, but that was good.
I knew that you wouldn't. And do you remember the snake one I read you?
Oh, that one was great.
That was an incredible
Was that her as well?
poem.
Or was that a different one?
Yeah, that's Mary Oliver.
Nice.
I will say, this is my least favorite collection of her collections that I've read. I didn't find as many gems.
Yeah.
In fact, I kind of am like, is there another poem that I'd even read out? There was this one. I'll read Just Storage, damn it.
Let's hear it.
Actually, yes. Okay. I remember I did check this one off because I was like, I want to read her the cricket one because it's kind of like the snake one. But this one, I was like, this got a real Raylene theme going on. You'll see.
Okay, I'm listening.
It's called Storage. When I moved from one house to another, there were many things I had no room for. What does one do? I rented a storage space and filled it. Years passed. Occasionally I went there and looked in, but nothing happened. Not a single twinge of the heart. As I grew older, the things I cared about grew fewer, but were more important. So one day I undid the lock and called the trash man. He took everything. I felt like the little donkey when his burden is finally lifted. Things! Burn them! Burn them. Make a beautiful fire. More room in your heart for love. For the trees. For the birds who own nothing. The reason they can fly.
I can
It's
see
a
why-
minimalist poem.
I know, I was just thinking, I'm like, get rid of that storage unit. Why do you have a storage unit full of crap? But I'm happy that it had a good ending.
Burn them. Burn them.
Burn it all. I love that the trash man came. He took everything.
Yeah,
that's
so
great.
actually those were my two favorite poems from the collection. I don't know if people remember. I actually started reading this one years ago and I never finished it.
Oh, I don't
And
remember
so I kind of, like, I remember that was a thing, but I didn't really remember how far I'd gotten or anything. So I just restarted the whole thing. And it was funny seeing the ones that I'd bookmarked because some of them are like, I was like, I agree, that's a good one. But then some of them I'm like, why did I bookmark that? I wonder what I was thinking.
Young
like,
Ariel.
Young Ariel was like, saw something meaningful there that older Ariel didn't see, which is interesting. Middling. This is just not her strongest stuff, and that's okay.
Do you have more of her collection still to read?
Yes, I do. I have one called Dog Songs.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't think I've read Devotions by her, actually.
Okay.
A lot of her I've read a lot of the poems in there, but I haven't actually read Devotions, so I need to read that one.
Nice.
I think those might... I guess there's a whole thing in here. It's kind of tricky as well because a lot of the poems have been put into different collections.
I was just going to ask that, yeah.
So I don't
cross.
but I do want to read them all. She's great.
Nice.
Okay. The other one I read is another poetry collection, God, I Feel Modern Tonight by Catherine Cohen. Catherine Cohen is best known for her hit Netflix comedy special, The Twist. She's gorgeous. The same live show won her the coveted title of Best Newcomer at the Edinburgh Comedy Festival in 2019. She can currently be seen in the Paramount Plus feature film At Midnight and later this summer in the upcoming Hulu series While You Were Breeding. Her first book, entitled God, I Feel Modern Tonight, was published in 2021 by Knopf. So this is kind of funny because I've had this on my shelf for a while. But I kind of forgot it was there, and then I had read Felicity by Mary Oliver. I was like, that was really fun. I miss reading poetry. I should read something like the opposite of Mary Oliver.
Yeah.
Like I should read, because Mary Oliver is very nature focused, and all of her poems are about nature. They're like, it's so rare if a tree doesn't enter the picture there. And this one I remember was like all about modern life, and like they all really feel like they're written on her iPhone, which is not a negative at all. It just feels like she smashed these out on her iPhone as a first draft.
Yeah.
And I think these were sent to me. This collection, I have the ARC version, and I think it was published in 2021. So I would have been sent it at some point in 2021 or 2020.
Okay.
Yeah, weird that so much time passed.
Right?
I always feel bad when that happens because I'm like, should I have been sent the ARC? This is why I basically don't say yes to any ARCs anymore, because I'm like, I cannot promise you that I'm going to read that when you sent it to me. So I really don't ever accept ARCs. I only really accept finished books now because I'm like, I can promote that and just mention it, and if I didn't read it, I'm sorry.
Yeah, there's no time limit.
Yeah. Also, just as a little behind the scenes, poke it behind the curtain here. Mm-hmm. When publishers send you a book for review, there is actually no obligation of review. So you don't actually have to. Yeah. You want to because you're like grateful to them for sending you a thing. But there is no obligation.
Man, I wish I had known that as a teenager when I got my first box of books. Oh my God, I want to say probably almost 10 books. And I was like, this is what I'm reading for the next month. I can't do anything else.
For the rest of time. Yeah, no. I feel like that was such murky waters at the beginning when they started sending books to teenagers. I mean, that's so new, right? Yeah. Like, it used to just be sending them to people that wrote articles in...
Right. Like newspapers or magazines or whatever.
Bloggers as well, but most bloggers weren't teenagers. And so when they started sending it to YouTubers, like sending ARCs to YouTubers, I don't think anyone really knew what was going on. But it's very fascinating. What do I think about this one? When I was looking at her bio on her website, like, which is most of what I read there, it says features her collection of comedic poetry. So she is going to try and make her poetry funny. Yeah. Like, that is the point of the poetry, is for it to be funny. Right. So knowing that and having that lens, I'm like, okay, you did that. The poems were funny. Yeah. And they're very explicit. Like, again, I wanted to read some of them, but like most of them are very inappropriate and I don't want to read them out loud. Yeah. Here's one called, oh, no, you see, I literally can't say that one. I thought that one was safe and it is not. This one's called It's Worse Than I Thought. Street signs don't know about you. The woman from Belgium putting her hair up in a ponytail doesn't know about you. The new Starbucks on 15th and 9th sells pizza. Sorry, flatbreads, beanies, tumblers? There's an espresso station, a full-service bar, gender-neutral bathrooms with slanted sinks, and I am putting out a swear word there, I'm sorry, that don't know about you, and everyone in this Starbucks is acting like my being in this Starbucks isn't the craziest thing in the world, acting like today has anything to do with not being the day you leave. I call you wine drunk and humid, glowing, night bright, and wanting you to respect my time. Telling myself I'm telling, not begging, I'm a communicator, I'm mature. I'm buying kettle chips and wheat beer with a credit card. There's nothing wrong with feeling on fire. If it's embarrassing, it's probably good. That's definitely not the funniest. There's some really funny stuff, but they're all so inappropriate that I don't want to read them.
I'm like, I want to read that next time I come over. I'm like, maybe I should read some of those poems. Save it for me.
Yeah, I mean, it's super, super short. They're very quick to read. I think this one was okay to read out loud. Let's give it a shot. Poem I wrote after you told me your ex is actually really cool is the name of the poem. Okay. And this was not one that I marked. I don't think this was not a favorite of mine, but no one talks about this. But in 2013, I inserted a tampon in the back seat of a car on my way to a Nickelback concert. I said I'd go to the concert because my friend Ted asked me to. Turns out I'm addicted to male attention, even when it's platonic. I don't like Nickelback. I only like songs that sound like surfing. But then the lyrics are like, I want to die. I wish I were smart instead of on my phone. So that actually gives the tone of the book a lot better.
Yeah, just a little chaotic, but, the inner mind that a lot of us have.
Yes, very chaotic, and I think very relatable. Yeah. Very, like, young woman living in a city, very busy, rushing around, seeing things. Things are happening to her, very jealous of things. Like, that is the vibe, and it is a fun vibe. But basically, I feel like she did such a good job at that thing, but then nothing went deeper.
Right.
Like, I didn't feel like the poems pushed anything ahead. I didn't feel like there was like an, how do I put this? Like an elegance or grace there that like elevates these poems into being more than funny.
Yeah.
They're funny.
Yeah, totally.
They're funny and they're relatable, but I'm not like, and it hits home.
Yeah.
It didn't.
Or it's the most beautiful writing you've ever read, or like it doesn't have that thing that elevates it.
Which is funny because there's like, it's very beat poet. Like, she's obviously trying to go for a beat poet thing, which is really fun. Like Allen Ginsberg or who's the other one I'm thinking of? Frank O'Hara, lunch poems. Like, there's this thing of like talking really fast and saying all the things that you're seeing, and it's New York, and because this is a very New York book, it's New York, and there's so much going on, and everything is exciting, and life is busy, and life is trash, and everyone's humid and sticky and hot, and you're like, right. But with those I mean, it's really unfair to compare her to them because they're literally some of the greatest poets of all time. But like with those poems, they are doing that thing where I'm like, they're excelling it forward into something beyond just, I'm seeing these things and they're interesting. You're like, why are they interesting though?
Right.
Like, what is the thing that's pushing it to that next level? So I enjoyed it, and I would probably, like, if she released another collection, I actually would read it because it was funny and interesting, and I feel like maybe she could keep pushing it. It's her debut
This is her
collection.
debut, right? So
yeah.
Give her some time to cook.
Exactly. And there you have it. That's what I read.
Wow.